Good evening, everyone. I hope you can see us and we are live. Looks like we are, but always like to check with people. So if you can let us know in the comments, and we can see them all on the dashboard. But good evening, everybody, and welcome to our it was very regular last year, and then we had a bit of a break. Now we come back. Everyone's doing podcasts, Kate, and I love a good podcast. I listen to them on walks and stuff, but I actually quite like seeing people as well. So the whole ethos is obviously getting people on the camera and interviewing you, doing what we do over a podcast, but doing it on a live stream. So Kate Chastey is one of our newish members. I think you've been a member nearly best part of a year now.
Yeah, I think just over a year. I think just over.
And you very, very bravely put yourself forward to come and join our informal chats, and I'm really thrilled that you have, because I have been following your social media posts, looking at how your business has been building and growing, and especially through the pandemic as well. And there's been so much positivity, and the post's been incredible. It's actually, you are quite infectious on LinkedIn, and it's not always a place that I find LinkedIn a bit of a weird place now, but there's something about your posts. I'm just really, really drawn to them, and clearly so are a lot of other people. But you've had some major success with your business, and we did want to get you on here to talk about the Passionate PA. But like we do with everybody, I'm going to take you right back to the beginning when you were 16 years old. What did that look like for you? Were you going to do A-levels, college? What was the plan back then?
My plan was to go straight into work, but my dad's plan was very much, you should go to university. Come on, that's what everybody should do, go to university. So at 16, we were just doing work experience stuff. I was going into my A-levels. I did an amazing work experience, which was just so much fun. And then I did my A-levels and decided I hated education. So decided that my sort of middle ground was to go to art college. That was just too much fun. There was no education, not much learning. I spent most of it in the pub, so that wasn't good either. And then I did go to university after that, but I hated every second of it. It wasn't for me. So, but I did finish. I did advertising at uni in the end. But I wish I'd gone straight into work.
Do you know what though? That testament to you. It was something you realised you didn't like, and you still went on and finished the degree anyway. I mean.
Oh, I hated it. It was such a struggle. It was just...
What was the reasons for kind of hating it and disliking it? There's always mixed vibes from people when they've been to uni. Yeah. Some enjoy it, some don't. But what was it that hit the mark for you, or didn't hit the mark?
Too structured for me. There was too much theory and not enough doing, which I think, is just really boring. I just don't think that's what life is, really. I don't think you can learn from a textbook all the time. You have to learn from doing, I think. So... yeah, it was just boring for me.
What was that, 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years. 3 years. 1 year doing the art foundation course. I didn't do much, to be fair.
But you know what? I mean, I've often said on these interviews, I was told basically I wasn't academically bright right from, school age. So I was never going to uni, but I was always quite jealous because I did come into the workplace. I did a secretarial diploma. I mean, everyone knows that who've watched these and been a member of EPAA for a while, but there was always some little twig of jealousy from me about the mates that went to uni. It sounded quite fun.
Well, there was fun parts, but there are fun parts in starting work straight away, aren't there? Yeah, there were fun moments and some friendships that lasted the test of time, but it just wasn't enough for me. The massive holidays you get, I was just like, what the hell are we meant to do with this? Like, you can't get a proper job, you can't go out into the world and actually start making something of yourself because you've got to go back to university when you're allowed face-to-face university. So yeah, just wasn't my thing. I realised very early on it wasn't, but I couldn't quit because, you know, daddy pressure. You just feel like you have to finish it, don't you? So I did.
Yeah. And did you get any sort of part-time? I mean, obviously you said it was difficult to get any jobs on top of that, but did you get any part-time jobs in the kind of holidays or on top of doing the degree?
Things as you do when you're at that age, really. So lots of waitressing and barmaiding and all of that sort of stuff. And then in my second year at uni, we were told to get work experience again, and so I went and found an agency that I could do that with, advertising agency, and did very much a PA role / exec, you know, client services role / everything kind of role. It was one of those where you just did work experience and experienced everything. So that was fun. And then that carried on through my third year as well. So I worked 1 day a week in an advertising agency, which was really, really unique. I mean, not a lot of people get that exposure to that advertising world and client services like that. And I think that's where my passion for business really comes from, is seeing clients in that way. So yeah, it was a good part-time job, but I still wanted to be in it all the time at university.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you left university, and we'll come on to what happened immediately after that, but do you think having a degree has helped at points during your career? I mean, you know, we'll go over your career, but has it helped?
I think it helps to give you a bit of a confidence boost that you've got one when other people are saying they don't. But quite frankly, nobody has ever asked me whether I've got a degree and what my grade was and whether I, you know, actually, you know, use any of it now. I never use my actual degree now. Everything I know about marketing has come from after my degree, for sure. Yeah, a lot of theory is still there from the degree, but it doesn't apply today. It's not modern marketing, is it? That was like 15 years ago or something ridiculous. So
yeah, and I think that is the thing now. It's often what you learn in, well, what they kind of call adult education, but what you learn when you come out of the education system is what actually helps you in your chosen profession.
Absolutely.
It's strange, isn't it? So what happened when you came out of uni? You were clearly like, yes, it's done.
Yeah, like, oh God, thank God for that. Yeah, so after uni, I went straight into the job with the advertising agency full time. So worked with them for a bit, and that was an awesome experience because I literally got to do everything from, you know, managing the office and making sure the office was exactly as it was meant to be according to the people that were running the business, right through to pitching for global businesses. It was a really vast role, and I was just thrown in at the deep end because it was a small team. You either pitched up or you didn't, and quite frankly you were out if you didn't, because that was the size of the team. So yeah, very much where my love of business came from, but also my love of entrepreneurial, just roll up your sleeves, get stuck in, don't wait for someone to tell you what to do, just get on with it, sort of work culture, I guess. So yeah, it was an interesting couple of years to say the least. I got to do some incredible things, and learned a huge amount about leadership in that role as well. And then through lots of different situations got made redundant from it, which was an experience in itself. And then immediately, like literally the second I was made redundant after the shock, I was like, I'm never going to be this carefree again. I'm off to Australia, off I go. And so just went traveling and packed everything up, left tenants in my flat to pay the mortgage, and just got up and left literally within like 3 or 4 weeks. It was no time at all.
Wow.
My friends and family were like, oh my God, what have you done? Where are you going? But yeah, you just got to do those things when you're given the chance, I think.
I think you do, and a lot of people do take that gap year, don't they, at or just after university, and then they'll, right, okay, I'm going to settle down now. But I think probably it's worked out better for people who've done it your way. At least you had a few years experience under your belt. You could have picked up
a tiny bit of money. Bit of money I'd managed to save. And I sold my car to go. That was always a bit contentious as well. But yeah, I think it's a really good time to go because you're not so young that you're inexperienced and naive, but equally I wasn't so old that I felt like I didn't fit in the hostels and all those places that we ended up when we were traveling. So yeah, it was.
So did you go with a friend, or you went on your own and met people out there?
back then I had a love for children, so I was like, I'm going to go and be an au pair. I'm going to go and be an au pair for a rich family, and that's going to be lovely. I found some weird agency. I mean, it all sounds a bit grim, doesn't it, actually? But I found an agency that paired up families with au pairs, and so I did that, and I landed on my feet. Like, an amazing family. They lived in Brisbane. They had 3 kids. Literally, one had just dropped the minute I arrived, like a newborn baby. And so I was tasked with looking after these 3 kids under 4, whilst exploring a little bit and living it up in Brisbane. I had my own little flat downstairs. They gave me a car. Like, the swimming pool was just there outside my front door. It was amazing, absolutely amazing opportunity. Didn't get paid anything, peanuts. But when you've got accommodation, you've got a pool outside, you don't really need any money, do you? When you've got your free time, you just use your savings. So so that was an interesting experience in itself. 3 kids under 4 taught me a lot, to be fair. So I gave that up pretty quickly, and then was like, okay, now I've met some friends, I'm going to travel and do all sorts of crazy things that you do while you're on the other side of the world. Why not?
Yeah, and Australia is still a big, right up there in the top 3 countries that people, Brits want to travel to. I mean, my cousin's actually moved out there now. She went travelling there with her then fiance, who's now her husband, and they've had a baby out there and stuff, and they love the Australian life. So sometimes we don't actually get the Brits back. But
I wish I hadn't come back. That was my plan. My plan was to go out and stay out there, come back for Christmas, and then go back again and go back to the au pairing and stuff, and hopefully stay out there forever. But I came back at Christmas time because my darling mum had cancer the first time. And so I didn't go back to Australia. I stayed here to look after her and to help her and stuff, and then met my husband, and the whole Australia dream sort of went out the window. Now I've ended up in Dartmoor. There's a bit of a difference.
So just so people know, we were initially sort of chatting about this earlier, but you were originally born in London.
Yes, just outside. I'm not a real Londoner, just outside, and then grew up just out, in Bromley and Chislehurst and all those sort of places on the outskirts. Spent way too much time in London as a teenager, when it was kind of safe, I think, to be popping in and out on the train when you were 14, 15. I would never in a million years let a teenager do that now, but back then it was fine. And then just went to, my parents emigrated, I call it emigrating, to the Isle of Wight of all places when I was at art college, and then went off to university in Bournemouth and stuff. So I never really had the opportunity to go back to London. Never mind if I want to. I don't think I really would now either, but there was just some life events that happened to sort of keep me away from it in the end. So, I worked in the advertising agency, was in Southampton, for example. So I just found my feet somewhere else, I guess.
So you come back, you meet the love of your life. What happens then in terms of the career?
So when I came back from Australia, I just did some temping roles, as you do, to get on with work, and landed a job as the store fit coordinator for Toys R Us. Do you remember Toys R Us? They've gone bust now, but
oh my god, yeah, I do.
I used to travel around the country doing putting signage together in the stores at midnight and stuff with a group of lads. That was kind of my job, to just drive around in a big van with steel toe cap boots on and stuff. But there was so much organising and structure and planning in that role that it just came so naturally to me. And then I did that for a bit, and then decided I needed to get a proper job that wasn't temping, and come on, let's do proper jobs. So I went down the following sort of big brand career. I wanted to be a big brand manager, but I went printing side rather than client side, and ended up working for a big print company. And my remit was looking after the Procter & Gamble brands, so Pantene and Pampers and all of those. And that was really good fun. Again, taught me a huge amount about client management and, being able to please people when there really is no choice but to please them, because you can't say no, and all of those incredible things. And then, my husband came home from work one day and sort of announced that he'd met the most amazing woman ever, and I really should meet her. And I was like, it's a bit strange. We've only been married like 5 minutes. What a weird thing to say to someone. It's like, Cole, I'm not sure that we're on the right page here. And he said, no. It's work related. Her name's Sarah. She runs a company called The Passionate PA. Even the name's cool. You're going to love her. And I was like, I'm in a career. I've got my career. Leave me alone. But I did talk to her, and she sort of opened my eyes as to what freelancing was. That's, you know, at the time she was about a year into her journey of having gone self-employed as a PA, and had all these amazing skills that she was selling to people in and around Dorset. That's where she was first set up, and it changed my life. It really changed my life. I went from this really kind of stable, really good career that was going down the route of client management, essentially. And I met this woman, and I was like, no, I need to make a difference for small businesses, for smaller clients, where you can really get involved and do everything, not just print management, which is what I was doing, but everything, all of my skill sets. The marketing came into play, the organisation and the restructuring sort of stuff for business came into play. So yeah, that's how it all began, really, for me. That's where it really was the beginning of a massive chapter that I'm still really in. So yeah, I blame my husband for everything. He met her first.
So when you initially went to work, was it with or for the Passionate PA? So you met Sarah, obviously there was some synergy there.
Yeah,
what happened? Did she own, I mean, she owned the franchise?
Yeah. No, it wasn't a franchise. It wasn't a franchise back then. So she was growing her business in the same way that most what are now virtual assistants grow their business, which is by associates and, you know, having other freelancers on board that are going to do something similar but under your brand. So that's how we started out. I was just a freelancer for her. And yeah, it worked all right for a couple of months, and then she gave me an ultimatum. She was like, come on, you've got to quit your proper job, Kate, let's go all in. You're still young enough to start again if you need to. Not that she ever thought I would need to. So yeah, she made me quit my proper job, and it wasn't really an associate contract. It was just freelancing under the same brand.
So you were still in a full-time job at the beginning of this and doing this on top of your full-time hours.
Right at the beginning I was. It was really clear quite quickly that I was never going to work because we were really busy and I was working every hour of the day. So yeah, she kind of pushed me to make that decision quicker than I probably would on my own, because she showed such confidence and such desire for the business to work. Our plan was to take over Dorset, probably the world in the end, but definitely Dorset.
What was the initial transition like for you, though? Because this is something we know a lot of people struggle with. I mean, even for full-time employed PAs and EAs, a lot of them have really enjoyed being at home full-time the last year. Not all of them have been, but a lot of them have. But nonetheless, it was quite strange for quite a lot of the members to then switch over to working from home full time. But what is it actually like when you quit your job and you're freelancing full time? Was there anything around that period that stuck out?
Terrifying, I think, is probably the word that you'd use. Absolutely terrifying. So at the very, very beginning, it was just like, oh my God, what do I do first? And I had Sarah holding my hand a little bit, which is, a lot of what the business is based on now is me holding people's hands while they do that. But so that's what happened at the beginning. And then she sadly was battling cancer at the time as well. And very, very soon after I joined, she lost her battle with cancer. And I was literally like, okay, so I'm a freelancer. I'm learning how to run a business. I'm learning how to be a PA again. I'm now inheriting this business and I have to bring it forward. I mean, talk about imposter syndrome, Vic. I can't even put into words how terrifying it was that I was now self-employed, but also like life-changing that I was left with this business that I felt I had to continue with because she'd had the confidence to leave it with me. But also I was just like, I've got no idea what I'm doing. I was 26. Yeah. I had absolutely no freaking idea how to run a business.
And there must have been
how to be a PA.
Yeah, and there must have been some, you coming to terms with the fact that Sarah had gone, and lost her battle and stuff. And that's an emotional thing in its own right. Did she have discussions with you that if anything did happen, it was going to be your business? And did you know that was on the horizon?
No. It was really, really quick. So she was diagnosed the end of 2009. She told me on Boxing Day, I remember it so clearly, Boxing Day 2009, because I was like, okay, I'm getting ready, I'm going to leave. And I finished in February with my full-time job. And by the 17th of March, she was gone. So I literally had no time from her saying, okay, I'm going to fight cancer, to, okay, no, I'm not. This is really just all going completely wrong. We had no time to do a handover, really. So I think there was like probably about 2-hour discussion. And in some of that, she was, you know, high on painkillers and all sorts of things. So yeah, there wasn't really a handover. So when people say you don't know what it's like to take over a business, because, you know, to launch a business because you took over the Passionate PA, I'm like, no. I launched a business literally from scratch with a whole shed load of other stuff going on. So yeah, it was a really tough time. It's only really been quite recently that I've been able to talk about it openly, because, you know, her story is so known in Dorset. Now that you're in Dorset, Vic, you ask some people if they know who Sarah Howells is, and I promise you a lot of them are going to say yes, because she was so well known, and her story was so well known. She was only 36 when she passed away and stuff. So yeah, it was just a crazy time, crazy time, but such testament to her that she'd created a business that could stand that and continue without her. We had clients that were just like still saying, Kate, I'm going to continue to pay, just start doing the work when you're ready. And I was just like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. Never mind know how to do the work she was doing. So yeah, there were a lot of big challenges in
well, clearly, like you said, she had a lot of faith in you, and she knew what she was doing and kind of, you know, pushing the business your way.
I think her one of her biggest dreams was to have the business live on, because there's so much to it, and there's so much opportunity for people to do what she did, and then what she encouraged me to do, and then what I encourage other people to do. There's so much opportunity to do it with guidance and when it's right. And I think she just knew that. I don't think she didn't tell me that I had to grow it or anything. She told me just to take on the brand and do what I want with it. But I think in her heart she knew that it was going to grow, and that's you know, awesome to have that legacy, I think.
So how long did it kind of take you to, you said you had clients saying we're still, you know, you're still employed in terms of being the VA freelancer. How long did it kind of take you to get back on your feet after getting that big news and suddenly realising you own this brand?
Yeah, those moments. Well, I think even at the time, as I now do, you know, now very clearly, I believe consistency is everything. So I tried to be as consistent as I could be, even when battling my own issues with losing her, my own issues with, you know, imposter syndrome, my own issues with my self-confidence at that time. All sorts of issues were going on, but consistency is the key to everything. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to continue to show up for my clients, and I'm going to continue to network, and I'm just going to do the best bloody job I can. And that's all anybody can ask of me in this scenario. And I did that, and off the back of that came incredible success that I didn't even know I was creating, but also didn't think I deserved at the time as well. So very quickly, the business went from like a 25 grand a year turnover to a 65 grand a year turnover. And I was like, I don't really know what I've done, so don't ask me to repeat it. So it was, you know, one of those moments where it's sort of moving without me trying to do anything at all. And then it just became quite apparent that I had something quite different to other people, because it was a business separate from me, but then I was still the face of it now, and that had kind of happened organically as well. So yeah, it took me probably about 3 years, I suppose, to really step beyond, you know, I'm in Sarah's shoes, and start winning clients off my own skill set and my own desires for what I wanted my clients to look like. About 3 years, I suppose.
Wow, I mean, this whole story is just, I mean, it's incredible.
It's not what most people expect. They're like, oh, what did you do in your life? Yeah.
Those 3 years, though, what did you consider yourself to be? You knew you were a business owner, but in your head, am I a virtual PA and providing, you know, these services to clients, or am I a freelance? Because I know we've touched upon this behind the scenes, and there's been a lot in the industry as well, hasn't there, about VA versus freelancer, the whole job title thing. It's been a little bit of a mess, to be honest with you.
It is an absolute mess, if I'm honest too. So I took on the mantle from Sarah, and she'd always called herself a freelance PA, and I just went with that. I didn't know any different. I came from a corporate world. I didn't know what a virtual assistant was or a VA was back then, when it was all becoming really popular. And so we ran with freelance, because that's what we are. And now we're freelance business support, because we'll do face-to-face stuff with clients. In fact, you're more likely to find us face-to-face with clients when we're allowed to be, than you are behind a desk and being virtual and all of those things. And personally, for me, Vic, I have a really big problem with the term virtual assistant. I just don't think it means anything. It doesn't mean anything, particularly in a post-COVID world. Virtual and assistant mean absolutely nothing unless you can say what you're going to do for a client and what you specialize in really clearly. They're not going to buy from you. They're just not. It's like 101 of marketing. So personally, I have a really big problem with virtual assistant because there's so much of a differentiation between, you know, the professionalism across all those VAs that are popping up out there right now, and the consistency, that magic C word again, the consistency in them is just astonishing, from the ones that, you know, want to make a really good go of it and are really professional and are really dedicated to their clients, to ones that just want to make £10 an hour doing, you know, 5 hours a week. The difference in mindset that takes, and the difference in commitment that takes, is astonishing. And I think the one term just does not cover all of those people at all.
No, I mean, I remember it was 2008 when I first heard that, or just before that. Actually, it was probably about 2006, 7. And we were coming into a recession, and there was lots of stuff. I knew Carmen McDougall then, who ran, I think it was Fact, and she'd been in a lot of press articles, and they were saying, you know, there's a recession coming, technology's coming, you know, all EPAAs on the corporate floors are going to be wiped out, and you know, everyone's going to have virtual assistants. But even then, I mean, you know, and I know a lot of corporate PAs who did set up as VAs. Yeah. It, like you said, half of them were quite successful. But that's what most of them called themselves back then, was VAs or virtual PAs. But then the other half, it was crash and burn, and then you'd see them back in the corporate world like months later. And
it's happening now. It's still happening. That this round of COVID has been horrible for that. You see virtual assistants pop up with all the best intentions in the world, and literally within months they're gone again. And it's, you know, for them it must be awful, but from a client perspective, which is how I see everything, that is terrible as well. We've had so many inquiries over the last 6 months of people going, okay, so I've had my fingers burnt, and if you do it to me, there's going to be trouble. And I'm like, whoa, don't start a conversation with me like that, for one. But two, like, do your homework on these people. What are they saying they're going to deliver? And if you're asking too much, that's why they can't deliver it, and why they're now going back to their, you know, an employed position if they can. So it's a real mess. It is a mess.
But I think one of the things, I mean, I was out networking a lot in the PA industry, and I had some successful, if we call them VAs for the moment, because that's what they were called back then, come and speak on my PA conference stages back in 2008, 2009. And I think one of the fundamental things that I noticed, and I remember saying this to other PAs in the city back then, I'm not cut out for this virtual, you know, EAPA stuff, because I don't want to run my own business.
Yeah, and that is the key. It's about running a business. You can't have an employed mindset and be a virtual assistant or a freelance PA or whatever you want to call it. You have to run your career like it's a business, and that's a very different way of looking at it. Very different.
Yeah, and do you think that, because for me, being involved in the industry for as long as I have been, and you know, having a lot of VAs in my life, friends or members of the organisations I've been part of, or EPAA, but one of the fundamental things to me is that a lot of them that haven't done so well at it they've assumed, because they've been PA to the CEO at whatever bank or FTSE company, that they can just automatically slot into being the CEO of a small business. And because even when you're freelance, you're still running your own business. And for me, that's where a lot of them seem to go wrong. You know, I remember a couple of my friends who made that transition. I hate selling myself. I hate marketing. And I'm like, well, haven't you kind of got to do that to get clients?
It kind of like 50% of your time, or if even more at the beginning. Absolutely. And it's not for everyone. And there's a lot of PAs, employed PAs, that don't like selling themselves, therefore struggle to get those pay rises and struggle to get those you know, next step on the ladder kind of opportunities, because they won't talk about themselves like they're valuable. And that is the biggest thing. There's so many VAs out there right now that want to charge 10 or 15 or 20 pounds, 25 pound an hour even. It's just massively undervaluing themselves as a human being and skills. Like, if they think that they can be a VA, they must have tangible skills that can add value to businesses. And if they can't articulate that, and if they can't charge appropriately for that, then they are going to fall over, because there's just it absolutely is the biggest thing that people need to understand when they go virtual or freelance or whatever the right word is.
But going back to 2008-9 again, I remember the virtual assistants I was around and networking with at that time, and I wouldn't say many of them were specialised in anything other than secretarial and administrative type of work, and most of the potential clients out there were small businesses. That is still the case now. Now that I am a business owner, I do understand, from that viewpoint, and how it really does add a lot of value. But the thing I've noticed in between then to now, and we've had this big global financial crash and pandemics and Brexit, that actually a number of the VAs now, or freelance PAs, they've specialised. They've got a niche in something. They're building websites, funnels, sales funnels, marketing, copyright, content. Yeah, I mean, it's huge.
You have to differentiate. There's just not a need in the way there was in 2008. There's not a need for those really basic admin skills anymore, because so much of that can be automated. Now, whether that's right or wrong is a completely different discussion, but it is. So if you're coming into the freelance world, the VA world, going, I'm really good at email management and diary management, and I'm going to charge £20 an hour, you're going to find it really hard, because there are so many free tools out there that do that stuff for small business owners. So that's not a skill set that's in demand anymore at all. You have to elevate above that, and you have to specialise, because otherwise you don't have anything different to bring to the party. You're just another VA at another networking event, and you don't stand out at all.
Yeah, and so back to you're 3 years in, things are going a bit crazy, it's going really successful. Do you then bring in associates? What happened around that time? Because clearly you must have realised, wow.
I realised I had something special when I remember it really clearly. I was sat in my office in Milbourne St Andrew. I had an office just up the road from where you are, and I was sat there, and I had literally 10 emails, one after the other, appear in my inbox, and they were all from startup people going, Kate, you seem to be making an amazing job of this. Please let me join you. Please let me join you. I want to learn. And I was like, hang on a minute, I'm onto something here, because if I can teach people how to do it, then there must be an opportunity in that, surely. So I thought about it for a little bit. I'm like, oh no, I don't have the confidence to do that. I can't do that. I, don't want to teach people anything. So I used to give loads of stuff away for free, because
you're talking to the queen of that. Yeah.
Give it away, just give it away. Let everybody be successful. Everything's fine, which was fine and taught me a lot. And then I sort of dabbled with the associate model, because that's what Sarah had done before, and decided very quickly it wasn't for me, because there wasn't enough control over the brand, which was the one thing that actually was really important to me at that time. And then I went down the employment route. Instead, I wanted to grow by having employees, and thought that was going to be amazing. It wasn't. It was hideous. It's not for me. That level of people management is just like, oh God, I'd rather stick pins in my eyes.
I hated it. It's a lot of paperwork as well now. I mean, what is put on employers, and I'm sure the big employers of FTSE company, they've got a HR department churning out all these forms to the pension regulators, national insurance, tax, and blah blah blah. But for a small business, it's a lot of aggro employing somebody.
I'm just not the right person for that level of people management. And I love winning clients, but I also love doing the client work. So it was really hard for me to step back and go, okay, you deal with that now. And I was like, oh, no, I want to do it. I'm really excited about it. So I used to get really upset myself personally when I had to hand over the work to these people that were just like, oh, taking a salary and didn't need to win the work. And, that felt like it wasn't very rewarding for me personally. And then just coincidentally, I happened to be at a networking event and was, talking about my HR issues with a lawyer. And she said to me, Kate, why don't you think about licensing or franchising? And I very naively went, sure, I'll put that on my research list. How hard can that be? Well, what a bloody understatement of the year. Oh my God, how hard can that be? Quite hard and quite expensive. And I just thought, well, I'll just go off and research it and find out what it is. And so did that between licensing and franchising, and realized that the franchise model of let me put everything I know in a business in a box model and give it to people so that they can run with it and run with the brand, and they've got the consistency and the everything they need to be supported so they can be successful. That worked for me. That was just like the icing on the cake when I found that. But then I realized how long it was going to take and how much money it took and all of those lovely, lovely things that go with running a business. But it was then, still is now, the right business model for me. I just massively underestimated how big a job it was to franchise a business, because it's not for the faint-hearted. Put it that way. It's a lot of hard work. But I found my my pilot franchisee, so the first person that was going to operate the model in a different territory to me. I found her completely by accident. She was one of those people that, you know, emailed me and went, "I love the brand. I want to be a passionate PA. How do I do that? How do I do that? Where do I sign?" And I'm like, I don't even know you, but I went for a drink with her, which was very unusual. I didn't normally meet up with the people that were emailing me randomly. And the reason I did was because she was a PA to a famous chocolatier, and I'm a mad chocolate lover. So I was like, that is an awesome job. If she can get that, she might be a passionate PA. And we just hit it off immediately. She said yes to a franchise on the spot. When I was driving there, I just decided in my head I was going to offer her the pilot franchise and see what happened. And if she said yes, we'd run with it. And if she said no, we'd probably spend another 2 years thinking about it. That's my business model. Think about it on the way to the meeting. And it was just awesome from day one. We just hit it off. She was the right pilot for me. It was the right time. We're now incredibly good friends, and we just gelled. You know, it was an amazing stroke of luck to find her as my first pilot. But it proved the model in a different area, and so that's when growth of the business came, and all the structure and support that is now so in place sort of came from that one first relationship where we were just learning as we went, and she had me on speed dial when there was a problem, basically. So it was an interesting journey into franchising, not by design, put it that way. It was never really my life goal to be a franchisor.
Yeah, and I've got to be honest with you, Kate, it sounds like you are really actually very, very good at this franchising, because I know there's been some other franchises in the market, but not all of them. I haven't heard that, and I'm not an expert on franchising. I haven't heard
it's really hard to be an expert on franchising. I wouldn't say I am, for sure. So,
but I haven't heard sometimes the best feedback on PAs that have gone off to then be virtual PAs under the.
There's some very big franchises. There are some very, very big franchise brands for PAs. And the feedback I get as well from people that have been there and then come to us, or done their sort of discovery journey and then come to me, is that it's just almost, it's not people-centric enough. It's not about the people. It's about you processing the orders that come through to head office, and off you go, and you're paid £25 an hour, and they dictate your hourly rates and stuff. That's not how I believe anybody should run a business. I'm not here to dictate how people should run their business. I'm here to give you the guidelines to operate within, and give you all of my knowledge and all of those things, and let you fly. Like, there's nothing more rewarding than seeing someone flourish under a brand I've spent the best part of like 12 years now building up. It's just amazing. But no, not all franchises are like that. Definitely not.
No, and I guess that happens. I mean, a lot of people don't realise McDonald's is a franchised brand, isn't it? And that doesn't always go right, despite all their marketing mass and billions of dollars.
The franchising industry gets a bad press in the UK sometimes, particularly from the external world, the people that are not in the franchise industry. But there's thousands and thousands of franchises. There's literally one for every single profession you could possibly want to be in. And if you find the right franchise for you, it's actually incredibly rewarding and cuts out all of the sort of the planning time and the worrying time and all of those like first year teething problems. You shouldn't have any of that in a franchise, because your franchisor is there to help you, get over those things. But yeah, you only ever hear of the crazy things in the press, when things go wrong and people lose millions. I mean, obviously we're not on that scale, but in McDonald's you definitely can lose millions if that's what you invest in your franchise. It all goes wrong for
So we get to March last year. We're then in a global pandemic. I mean, what was your first thoughts? Because obviously I'm a small business owner. I sat there and I spoke to some other PA trainers in the UK, and we were like, oh my gosh. What the hell does that mean?
So I remember it so clearly. I was I was traveling away, I was working away, and I was in a hotel, and it was all, kicking off on the news. And I rang my franchise mentor, and I was like, Ian, I don't mean to be rude, but panicking. He could hardly hear my voice because I was like, how do you run a franchise through a pandemic? And he was like, well, to be honest, Kate, I've got no idea. So let me just think about it too. So because nobody did today. I mean, I'd grown the business through a recession. So I knew that was okay. And I knew, like, this is the big difference between us and most VAs, is we only work with entrepreneurs. We only work with really ambitious people that are at a certain level already. So I knew those people would be the ones to get us through the trouble, because entrepreneurs always are. It's never the big corporate because they're too slow to react and all those things. So I knew those people would get us through it. But I think in my gut, I thought, yeah, like, what if the whole world does stop though? And I've got these amazing franchisors that are like, you know, my life and soul. And I am, you know, it feels like you're responsible for them as well, because that's the job of a franchisor. So I remember sitting on the bed so clearly, and I was just like, right, I think I need to write some guidelines for this. So I sat down and I wrote guidelines for dealing with a pandemic. I mean, honestly, I haven't read them since, but I've got no idea what I said in them. But the girls all received them. And I was like, right, so consistency is king. Keep on with your marketing, keep on with this, keep on with that. And, you know, told them to talk to all their clients in certain ways and what we're doing. And we had about 2 weeks, I think, of all the clients sort of going, oh, I don't know what's happening. Just hold on for a minute. And we were all really, really nervous. And every single one of the franchisees went through this. Oh, my goodness me, I'm not going to pay the mortgage this month. And then amazingly, all of the clients just went, we're going to find a way to continue, because that's all you can do when you're running a business like ours. And they just did. And so about 85% of our clients just carried on working with us because of the work we do and because of the specialisms we all have. They couldn't just stop that. So, yeah, it was a really, I mean, I won't say I didn't lose any sleep because I did, but it was such an incredible time to see those entrepreneurs just buckle down and get on with it. And some of our clients have absolutely turned their business around because of it. There's so much in the media about, oh my God, it's the worst thing ever. Yeah, it is for some, but for some businesses, it's been the bloody making of them. And it's been amazing to be part of that journey. So the first 3 weeks, absolutely hideous. And then the whole of last year, I did not have a single day off. I was working all the time, weekends, supporting the franchisees, helping the franchisees cope with client work, and then homeschooling. I mean, how anybody did that, I have no idea. So we really rallied as a team and managed to get through that somehow, by the skin of our teeth. And then this year rolled around and there was all this hope that it was going to be different. And I swear to God, by March, I was just like, I still feel like I'm in August last year, because this is as hard as it was then. And it was just relentless, this relentless commitment to just being consistent all the time. So I don't feel like any of us really had a moment to reflect or a moment to sit back and just go, oh, that was really hard. But I also feel that if we can get through that, we can get through anything in a way. And I don't think there's anything that could break us now. I really don't. Like this, as a business owner, you must know, you think, oh my God, like the next drama. But I just throw it at me. I don't care what it is. It's nothing.
Yeah, I won't lie. I mean, I was utterly sleep deprived at the start, because I was obviously by then a key worker, and everyone knows I've been quite honest about what I was up to through the night. So I was coming home kind of like taking a quick hour's kip, and then I didn't know what I was doing in terms of leading EPAA.
Nobody did. I don't think any of them.
How long is this going to go on for? But I think the devastating part for small business, and it was the fact that we got no support. You know, a lot of my friends had furlough and they were crying about that, which I totally get. It was a big shock, but I'm like, you still got 80% of your salary. You know, I was literally like, we've got nothing, absolutely nothing. And it became clear very quickly that we were going to get nothing. And I was inspired. I honestly thought, and I remember speaking to a lot of PA trainers, well, that's us done. We'll be gone in the next few months, so we may as well go out on a high and let's put on this big conference and blah, blah, blah. And then as I'm emerging, I'm still sleep deprived, still working through the night. And then it was kind of, I was mixing around different people online that I'd seen before the pandemic online, but I just hadn't really had time. And I remember joining a membership called the GSD Society, which is run by Lisa Johnson. And obviously Lisa Johnson's an ex-PA, fabulous story. But then I saw quite a few of my friends on Facebook were following her, and I just started reading her posts. And then it was like a spider's web, following other people off the back of that. And then I remember her posting, we became friends on Facebook, and then she posted a couple of months into the pandemic, she'd made her first couple of million. And I'm like, but the papers are saying that everything's on the floor. Yeah. And actually, what I've very quickly realised is the entrepreneurs in this country, small business in the UK, they were shunned, no help, no support, and so they got on and pivoted their businesses. It's been incredible to watch it.
It's been amazing to be part of it. Honestly, we have so many incredible stories. And don't get me wrong, in that journey for pivoting, I hate that word, but in that journey, they have had horrific times and they've lost staff, and it's been you know, we've had business owners crying on the phone going, Jesus Christ, I just need someone to talk to about this stuff, because they couldn't take it home, because they're, you know, at home they were struggling with homeschooling and all these, you know, a bloody pandemic, all these things that were just on top of them. But in doing that, what they've come out with is such stronger businesses and such incredible stories of resilience. And I absolutely believe entrepreneurs are the only place to work in this country, because they're the only people that have the ability to just pivot the way they do and be successful the way they do. If something's not working, they just change it. It's not like you work for a massive corporate and it's got to go through 15 layers of management and all that rubbish. That just doesn't happen in entrepreneurial businesses. So yeah, we're very lucky with our clients, really.
I mean, it was interesting. I think, you know, I've often said to EAs and PAs, try and get some experience, you know, with a small business owner at some point that wants to take on you as an employee, because you'll get involved with absolutely everything. And I mean, that's where the excitement, the buzz is. That's where you'll learn lots. And you know, a lot of people was like, oh, but I've got to get that FTSE Bank on my CV, and there's still that pressure of
I'd really argue that you really don't. I mean, I know, you know, everybody thinks it looks good. One of my best friends in the world, bless her, she's a PA at an investment bank. She's like, Kate, it's so secure. And I'm like, it's not, love. It can be gone like that. The only thing you can rely on is yourself. And if you don't have that multiple skill set or that ability to go out and get a job somewhere else tomorrow, then it's not secure at all. I mean, you might have a nice pension and a cushy pay packet, but if you live hand to mouth because you spend it all, then it's not bloody secure at all. It's not. And it's a really hard mindset to get to if you've always been in the corporate world. And I
think it's when they end up getting made redundant, and then it's like the light bulb goes off, because I've been in that corporate mindset and that, you know, that whole thing. So how big is the franchise now? I mean, I follow you on LinkedIn, read all your social media, and I'm like, wow, I mean, like every week there's buzzing, great, positive stories coming through. Do you still have clients? Do you still have clients as your own? So you still freelance?
So I do the occasional bit of consultancy marketing stuff, because that's my bag and that's what I love. And I do a bit of helping people understand whether franchising is for them. So I put that skill set under my client work. But so I work 1 day a week client work. The rest of the time is franchising. So yeah, we're a team of nine franchisees now, and they're all different. None of us are little robots at all. I made a very conscious decision that nobody else was to be like me, because I'm a bloody nightmare. So everybody's different. Everybody has their own skill set and their own specialism, and that's, for me, it's about building the team. So one of the biggest things I think people miss when they move out of corporate world and into the freelance world is the aspect of being part of a team, is the aspect of knowing that you've got peers that you can rely on. So it's a franchise, but it's not competitive in any way. So each one of the franchisees, can talk to any other franchisee, and they will absolutely help them without any strings attached. There's always that, pick up the phone and just talk to me about it, which is massively valuable for each franchisee, but also for the clients. I mean, our clients tell me they love it. They're like, I've got one passionate PA, and I've got all of you on speed dial, and that's special. And you're just like, well, don't be too greedy though. Don't bring us all, because that's naughty. We will start charging. Good.
But it's such a great story, the background, the transition you've made over to this, then making this a success. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm inappropriate to say, but I'm sure Sarah has been at the back of you've clearly got that drive anyway, but she must have been a small nugget in there just pushing along the whole time.
The first couple of years, I was very much in the mindset of I couldn't let her down, because she'd believed in me so much. So I had to keep going. And that put a lot of pressure on me when I didn't want to keep going. And there were lots of other personal things going on for us that I really shouldn't have kept going. Actually, there were moments where I should have stepped back from work and put myself first. And I didn't, because I just felt I had to keep going because it was something to focus on. It was positive, things were going well. And then there were a couple of other things, like we had clients that were then, with her, at the very beginning of the Passionate PA journey. They're still with us now, and they've been with me all the way through, telling me that, Sarah would be so proud. And her mum shows up on our social media sometimes and just says, Kate, you're doing amazingly. I just love her, honestly. If I ever get to see her, I will actually hug her like she's my own mum, because she's played that part for me.
Yeah.
Championing you, like she doesn't know the first thing about being a PA or whatever, I'm sure, but she was just so good at championing me the way she would have done Sarah. And that kind of pushes you along, because you just other people believe in you. And that's the same with the franchise now. If I believe in my franchisees enough, it will counteract their moments of uncertainty and their moments of complete lack of confidence and all of those things, because I'll just believe in you enough for both of us. And that's what happens. The people that I choose to be franchisees won't fail, because I won't let them fail, but they don't know that yet when they're brand new, do they? They don't know that. They're just finding their feet, essentially.
So what happens, I mean, if you need to find other franchisees, or presumably you're looking to grow, or there'll be points you'll be looking to grow again and grow that group. How does it people, do they just kind of go on your website and apply? How does it all work?
How does it work? What's the process? The process is completely by accident. So to be honest, every single franchisee that comes up has never really come from an active campaign I've put out there. They've come off the back of, oh, my friend told me about this, or I've Googled freelance and project manager comes up quite a lot, and freelance and random set of skills, whatever they're going to put in there, and we come up. And like the last one, for example, she's got 20 years history in the charity sector. She's been head of operations at the Cats Protection League. And she Googled, I want to be freelance, and we popped up, and she was drinking a glass of wine. She tells this story so much better than I do. She was drinking a glass of wine, and she literally screamed because she'd found the thing that she wanted to find. And her husband was like, oh my God, what's happened? And she made her husband watch a video on our Join Us page, and she was just like, this is it. This is where I want to be. So she'd made a decision before she'd even spoken to me, because she felt all that from the website, which I am so open on our website. I give far too much away about what it is we do and how we do it, and you can find out the price and stuff without having to talk to me whatsoever, because I think that's really important in today's world. Go and do your homework. There's Vic, I put my life on LinkedIn, my professional life on LinkedIn. There's nothing you can't find out about me, and I think that's the way it should be in the franchise industry. It should be absolutely crystal clear what you're getting into and what you're not getting into. And that, it just works. So people contact me from all sorts of walks of life. Loads of people sadly don't make it through because they don't think they're right for us and we're not right for them. But the ones that do are amazing, and they go on to do incredible things, and it's really rewarding for me. I'm building a very small team. I'm not building an empire. I don't want like 500. I want like 30. That's it. So much smaller.
We've touched upon, there's a lot of EAs and PAs, they get made redundant or something happens, or in the workplace, and right, I need to get out of here, I just want to work on my own. I totally get that, because the workplace has been constrained for a lot of people, the inflexibility, and I'm not entirely convinced we're going to have this fully flexible workforce coming out of this pandemic. I don't think it'll be quite, there'll definitely be some flex, I think, for employees, but I don't think I think employers are going to start to put the thumb down a little bit soon on certain areas. But we've got people who watch this back and watching now that think, do you know what, I do want that freelance life. What would your top tips for them be in that initial instance? Because there are quite a few getting it wrong, and then, as we've said, they end up coming back to corporate life, or as an employed PA or EA, and that's not what they really want. But I mean, how do you go about this and actually be successful?
So my first tip would be to think about it like it's a project, essentially. So no PA in their right mind would run a project without doing every single bit of research and every single bit of clarity. So run it like it's detached from you, rather than trying to sell yourself or, you know, worry about how you're going to show up. Run it as though it's a little bit detached. So you've got to think about it, you know, almost in a third person scenario, and do all the strengths analysis of whether you can be self-employed and whether you're strong enough and whether you're financially stable enough to have that first year that's not very you know, rewarding, and all of those things. So run it like a project. Really, really, really delve deep into how the hell you are going to get clients. So people ask me all the time. It's probably the biggest question I get asked all the time. Kate, how do you win clients? And I've been doing this a really long time. I literally have written a manual about how to do it, but people don't understand how difficult that is. And it's not a case of, oh, I'm just going to talk to my husband's best mate who runs a plumbing business. I'm going to do a bit of admin for them. That's not a business. You're just, you know, you're just literally employing yourself and paying your own taxes and not getting a pension for the bloody, you know, sake of it. It's like ridiculous to think like that. Think really clearly about who your ideal clients are and how you want to get them and how many you want. You know, you can't have 1 or 2 clients. It's massively risky. You need at least 4 in order to spread the risk. And some PAs hate that. They absolutely hate that. They're like, no, I need to work one-on-one with someone all the time. Well, that's not self-employment then, because you can't have just one client. It's like, you know, the HMRC will not let you do that. So, it's really do your homework. Really, really do your homework. Go to one of the really awesome, you know, associations, the one that Charlotte runs, for example, and do your goddamn homework. Like, before you've quit your job, before you've, you know, spent all of your redundancy money, really, really do your homework and understand what you want. And then my very final piece of advice would be never have a plan B. Once you've decided it is for you, go at it hell for leather until you are successful at it. And do not even contemplate having, oh, I'll just have a part-time job on the side, or I'll just go back to corporate life if it doesn't work out. Because if that's how you're thinking, that's what you'll end up doing. And that's, you know, that's one of the reasons why I chose a franchise in the end, because people have to delve in for 5 years, because it's a contract and you have to be in it for the long haul to make it work. You can't be successful in 6 months. It doesn't work like that. It's not, you know, if you are successful in 6 months, that's based on luck rather than judgment, I think. So really, really go at it properly for the long haul.
Yeah. And I think you touched upon the whole having 4 clients thing, because there was a couple of people I know that freelancers last year who had like 2 clients. Both of them dropped them within a week of kind of COVID happening, and then they were like, I have no business. But like you said, it's planning
really
for risk, isn't it? Yeah,
it's really, really scary. And then that when you're in that situation, and don't get me wrong, we have it as, you know, as franchisees, we have that whole, oh my god, a client's, you know, gone AWOL, what do I do? And we have a structure for that, and you have to go client hunting, as I call it, not from a place of desperation, because you will make very bad decisions if you do that. And client hunting takes time. It takes months to find the right client and set that relationship up properly. It's not an overnight thing and suddenly they're going to be paying you, you know, £1,000 a month and everything's going to be lovely. It just doesn't work like that, particularly now when there's so much noise around all these VAs that are popping up and will do things for free because they're getting experience and all these other things that are massively undervaluing the industry and the business and the professionals that are really trying to make a good living out of it. And, you know, the biggest thing as well, actually, is the legals and the professional side of it. Like, so many VAs are out there without even a contract in place, without even insurance in place. Like,
I know.
Oh, what are you doing?
I find that frightening, because we are partnered with EPAA, and I remember when Charlotte first set that up, and they did this frightening piece of research, and how many virtual freelancers, assistants, whatever they were calling themselves, had no insurance. I was like, oh my gosh. But, you know, as a small business owner that does work with freelancers, and we've been really lucky, we've worked with, since EPAA opened, we've worked with the same freelancers on and off. I bring them in for the project, and technical expertise, that kind of thing. But we've managed to stick with the same people since 2016, and we met them via EPAA. And I remember saying to Charlotte, but I can't take the risk of hiring somebody, a freelancer, who's not insured. I mean, how damaging is that potentially to my business? And I knew with EPAA that, you know, they'd all been vetted, so I didn't have to worry about all that. And you know,
valuable. But clients don't even understand that. Client, you know, I said at the beginning, it's all about the client perspective. Clients don't understand but those are the checks they need to do. I wrote a blog about it and did a podcast about it recently. The 7 questions you need to ask your freelancer or your virtual assistant. And one of them is, what's your insurance policy? What's your GDPR policy? How do you actually run me as a client? And am I your ideal client? And if I'm not, why the hell are you like even contemplating doing a discovery call with me? There's so many key things, but clients don't understand how to do that because we as an industry have not educated them well enough. That's our fault, Vic. That's not the client's fault. You hear that all the time with VAs. Oh, the clients don't understand me. It's like, it's just because your messaging's rubbish. It's not their fault they don't understand you. It's ours as an industry. We need to be far better at communicating our value and why we're important and why we should be paid decent money, not £20 an hour. So yeah, there's a lot of things that we need to tighten up, and I don't know how we do that really. I guess it's just communication and plugging away at it.
Yeah, and well, there's still a whole box of issues in the EPAA side of the industry as well, and questions that need to be answered about what a good EA looks like, and that, you know, there's still that massive gap between employers and EAs and PAs, and they employ them. It's a misunderstanding. Ridiculous. Yeah, and it is, but I would say, I mean, the VAs we've worked with have really been a huge sort of freelancers. In fact, 3 of them would call themselves freelancers. You know, that's not, most of them do come from an EA background somewhere in their career, or they've spent their whole career doing it, but it's not, their skill sets are vast and they really have niched in certain areas. And I know when I, you know, book them in for a set amount of hours of projects, I just trust them to get on with it. But I have heard, I have heard some of the horror stories with using freelancers and VAs in the last couple of years as well from my business owner friends, who I then have to re-talk into, well, you just haven't found the right person, it's not the right fit.
Yes.
You know,
and also they're not, you know, if they've had their fingers burnt and something's gone wrong, we always try to explain to clients what they might have done wrong in that situation too, because it is a two-way street. I mean, obviously VAs and freelancers have a responsibility to manage their clients, but you know, the people that are actually employing you to do something or paying you to do something should really, really, really understand how they should manage you. So there's a lot that goes the other way too. For sure. Yeah,
definitely. And I mean, I know I'm part of lots of entrepreneurial type associations, although I still struggle to call myself an entrepreneur, but I'm learning from them.
A lot of people do. A lot of people just think that it's for, you know, high-flying, multi-million-pound people. It's not, actually. It's for anybody that's really working hard with ambition. You know, I wouldn't call it a small business. I don't think startups are necessarily entrepreneurs because, you know, they've got so much to learn. It's the seasoned ones that can really, you know, throw all sorts of things into the mix and still be successful. So.
Yeah, definitely. And I've definitely learned a lot in the last year, even though EPA's been running for a few years now. I've definitely learned a lot in the last year, just from seeing all these entrepreneurs and other smallish business owners, how they've expedited things and grown and just come up with these whole brand new ideas. It's been really phenomenal, actually. And it looks like other people are engaging with this conversation as well. So can you see that on the dashboard? Okay, so we've got any of the team ex-public sector. That's been her background up until about 6 weeks ago. Now she's jumped to the corporate world, but this stream has really piqued her interest.
Okay, awesome. Hi, Tan Lu. So yes, the answer to that is yes. A few of them have been public sector backgrounds. One in particularly, Louise, she was very public sector background before she joined us. So she worked in the health sector, she worked in a special needs school, all sorts of, you know, really vast PA roles. But then actually, you know, decided she needed to do something for herself, and she wanted to really make a choice for how she ran her life and her business and her children and all of those things. So she jumped ship. She was another one that had looked up on the website and was like, this is for me, before I'd even spoken to her. It was a very strange conversation. But now she's a very successful, passionate PA. She's just over 2 years in, and she would be what you call a very tech freelancer. So she helps people literally get there. So she works with one of, you mentioned Lisa earlier, she works with one of Lisa's biggest clients, and has got her entire business from a one-to-one coaching model right through onto a one-to-many coaching model, and Lou's been a massive part of that transition. So that wasn't Lou's first year experience there as a passionate PA. It was her first year. She was very much doing the exec level PA stuff, which there's loads of that out there as long as you can pitch yourself properly for it. And then she's transitioned into this tech guru side, which is where the money is for her and what she really, really loves. She's really found her sweet spot. So yeah, absolutely, from the public sector background, I think you just have to be ready to experience something different, because entrepreneurs are very different in their mindset and the way they work and stuff. So as long as you're up for a challenge, then going freelance is by all means something to think about for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I describe entrepreneurial life, owning your own business, like this is a bit frantic, mad, crazy, nutty. Sometimes I barely even feel like I know my own name. But Lisa's written a really good article recently about outsourcing and why it's so important, and the first sort of people she did, outsource work to, because she was really honest last year. She said she found it really difficult to outsource bits and pieces. So there are business owners out there, entrepreneurs, that still are trying to do it all themselves, that don't realise that they can do this and actually trust for somebody else.
But I talk to someone who says they're really struggling with the idea of delegating, the idea of outsourcing. I very cheekily say to them, look, I'm not being funny, but you can outsource everything. And I just go quiet, and they're like, what do you mean? What do you mean everything, Kate? And they really, really want to really delve in and almost strangle you for saying something so drastic. But you can outsource everything if you've got a process and you've got the right person that you're outsourcing to that will think like a business owner. There is nothing you can't outsource, except the things you love doing in your business. Those are the things you should keep. We all get into business to grow a business we love, don't we? So do the things you love and outsource everything else should become my strapline, because that is absolutely how we run our business and how we talk to our clients, for sure. Yeah.
Do you know what? It's been so incredible chatting to you. I knew this interview was going to go just be amazing. I find you really, really inspiring. I think a lot of our members do that have come across you on social media. We'll have to put you on one of our conference platforms when we're back face to face properly.
Did you not see my post today? That was about public speaking. I can't stand it. This is fine. Podcast is fine, but put me on a platform and I will literally go to jelly. So
you wouldn't. And we're doing the free workshops for EPAA members soon, because I said that exact same thing, and I've been public speaking for nearly 20 years now, and that just wasn't going to be part of my repertoire. I wanted to be a great PA, but all this other stuff happened. But a lot of people do know my career story. But very quickly before we sign off the evening, what's coming up? I obviously don't expect you to divulge all your business plans, but what are you kind of looking forward to as we come out of the pandemic? I know we're not quite there yet, are we? But we're starting to ease out of it
now. But I think we are getting there, and I think there's some really incredible signs of recovery if you look hard enough for them. So what am I looking forward to? I'm looking forward to having a proper face-to-face passionate PA away retreat, I'm calling it, in September, where the whole team is going to be together, and I cannot wait to hug them. I cannot tell you how much I can't wait to hug the people that I literally live and breathe for. I can't wait. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most. Secondly, looking forward to some really interesting conversations I've got coming up with people that are thinking about going freelance and have been in contact for a year or two. I mean, it's not like it's a 5-minute decision for some people. Yeah. Literally, they've been stalking me for years, and then there's a couple that have just come forward and gone, okay, I'm ready to talk now, Kate. And you think, oh my God, okay, I've forgotten who you are. But okay, absolutely, let's do that. Let's really do that. So looking forward to those conversations. And then looking forward as well to watching some of the new passionate PAs take off. It's been we had a passionate PA launch in July last year, so start of the pandemic, and she's literally seen a client face to face once in a year. So I'm looking forward to her experiencing a different way of running a business in year 2 and seeing her flourish with that, because honestly she's had some hard times living behind a computer, being literally virtual the entire time, and that's not for her. So yeah, looking forward to seeing some things change within our business for sure.
And I sincerely hope you get a week's break soon.
I did just have a holiday, like literally about 3 weeks ago. I had a week off and it was lovely. And that's not normally my life at all. I don't know if you can see the sign behind me. My mantra for life is create a life you don't need a holiday from. Hence why I live in the middle of a field. Hence why I live on Dartmoor with ponies and all sorts of things. But yeah, the pandemic sort of threw that out a bit, but I'm getting back to it now for sure.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I've kind of said that since moving to Dorset, and obviously you can relate because you've lived here, but it feels like when you're a Londoner, come down to somewhere like this and all this natural beauty and being near the coastline, which has never happened to us before, it feels it's not a holiday, this is our life now, but it's like, well, who wants to go on holiday? We're in Dorset, for goodness sake, you know.
Oh, people say that about our little farm on Dartmoor. They're like, well, this is not real. Okay? You can't make any money and live here. I'm like, well, obviously we do, because we've got a mortgage to pay. So obviously we do. But yeah, even my husband is employed, and even his, work colleagues are like, you cannot live in the middle of a field and be an employee. It's like, yeah, you can. If you arrange your life enough and you've got a passion for it enough, yeah, you can. And it's really rewarding. I recommend it to everybody.
Wow. It's just, thank you so much for the last just over an hour. I really, really appreciate your time today. And we'll be sharing this interview far and wide because you are an incredible person. And it's lovely. I mean, we've got to meet for the first time face to face through a video, but I will drive across to Dartmoor. I'm curious. Yeah. And obviously, clearly, there's still much I can learn from you about my new local area. So,
the best pubs to visit. I don't know why I would know those things.
But I will very quickly say there's a lot of people that don't meet up to their social media persona, and you are just so authentic and everything I thought about you from the social media post. And I've normally got a good gut instinct usually, but it has been it's been right. Really, and I wish. Well, obviously we'll still be in touch all the time, but I'll be watching with interest and following all the exploits of the passionate PA and wishing the franchise and the franchisees all the very best over the coming years as we come out of this and kind of charge forward. Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully we will. Thank you ever so much. It's been lovely to meet you properly. But yeah, same to you and the association as well. There's so many great things you're doing, and it's really nice to be associated with that and to just be part of it. And if I can support in any way I can, I will definitely.
You might regret saying those words. Oh, well, thank you. And thank you for people. I know there's been people quietly watching in the background as well that didn't say anything. They're probably sitting there going, wow, I'm Googling her right now. I'm emailing her right now.
Little old me. What do I know?
Yeah, but it's a life that a lot of people aspire to and don't quite know how to get for themselves. And I think you just showed that it is absolutely achievable if you've got the right mindset and guts and determination.
And I've said this in the group a million times, but I'm always really happy to have those no obligation chats, because I think if I'd known at the beginning what I know now, I would have made a more focused effort. I probably would have jumped off the career ladder a lot quicker and all of those things. Yeah. But equally, if I hadn't have had Sarah, I wouldn't have done it at all. And that's probably the biggest thing I give to other people now is actually, if I can help in any way, I will. And if that's just to tell you not to do it because it's not what you think it is, then that's valuable information, I think.
What a fantastic legacy. Well, thank you very much and have a good evening, everyone. See you later.
Thanks, Vic.